Was it on?
Now it's on. You can check it out from our website at talk973.com. Top middle of the page is the link. One click of that will get you there. If you're on a mobile device, your YouTube app will get you there. Put Mornings with the Leader Man, all one word, in the search. If you're on your mobile device just needing audio, we suggest tune in, iTunes. That will work. Other platforms will too. Or you can get it off our website at talk973.com. Upper right-hand corner of every page, the icon says Listen Live. Tap that once, you're listening that quick. If you're on your mobile device, you want to search for WEEB. Weather for us today here in the Sand Hills area. Well, it's going to be a little more comfortable. I say little, and I emphasize the word little, because our dew points are going to be down just slightly this afternoon through Wednesday afternoon. Woohoo! When I say slightly, we're talking 66 to 69 range, which is better than the 72, 3, and 4 we've been having.
Yes, it is.
Partly cloudy today, isolated thunderstorms, high of 90. And tonight, partly cloudy, isolated thunderstorms, low of 70. Tomorrow, more of the same. Exact footprint of today. How about that? Wednesday, no chance of rain, high of 92. Again, the dew points will be down in the mid to upper 60 range, which will be a little bit of relief. Went to the Exchange concert in Aberdeen last night, and it was a lot more comfortable there than it has been on recent nights. But so people could actually enjoy the concert. And didn't rain. The dew points weren't ridiculous, and it's just nice that when they get with all that trouble to set all that up, that doesn't get goofed up by a little weather, you know?
Yeah. What time did that end?
I don't know. Probably around 8:30, I believe.
Probably ended just before that deluge hit, so good for them.
Anyway, so then Wednesday, like I said, sunny 92. Thursday, we're back into the soupy stuff. So, at least right now, the long-range forecasts say the dew points return back into the 70s Thursday on. And guess what? So does the chance of thunderstorms returns. Right now around the Sand Hills, winds are calm, visibility 8 statute miles, pressure is 3003, dew point 67. There's a good number. It's not great, but it's a whole lot better than we've had. Humidity 100%. It's partly cloudy, 67 degrees right now here at Talk 97.3 FM 990 AM WEEB. Coming up next hour, by the way, Nick Persona will be in studio guest along with an extended Zoom law zone. John will be here to talk to him about the fact that he just got appointed to the Lottery Commission.
Yes.
Lots of questions covering that, because if you will recall, a lot of that money doesn't get here. So now Nick has complained a lot about it in the past. Now he sits on the board, and we'll talk to him about what he'd like to get accomplished. Because it's not a dictatorship, but at least he has a voice at the table now.
When you say a lot, it's only, you're only talking like 82% that doesn't get back to us, so.
Well, we'll get all the facts and figures next hour, because it's one thing I can give Nick credit for. He's on top of his numbers. All right, 7:32. Let's get on top of what we do. All right, ladies, this is really geared for you. You will appreciate this. You know, when you have errands to run, there are just times you just wonder if you can. You just wonder if you can trust hubby at home all by himself, right? Because you know, if he's like mad, he's got to be into everything. And you know, telling what state your house will be in when you get back.
Yes.
Or how many birds he's captured into blueberry bush.
Yes.
But we have a product for you now.
So you've got an important meeting, and you want to go work out, and then there's back-to-school shopping with the kiddos. But you don't want anything to happen to your house while you're gone. Now there's Dad's Daycare. Face it, he can't be trusted alone. At Dad's Daycare, there's continuous supervision and plenty of activities to keep him safe, like how to read instructions, how to put the toilet seat down, and how to not almost cut off your finger with a table saw like he did last time. And when you're done, just pick him up on your way home. Dad's Daycare, kind of like doggy daycare, only with more control.
You know, I was at, telling you I was at...
Wow.
What?
like doggy daycare, only with more control. Gee.
I was talking about that concert last night, and I was passing out some campaign literature to those that were there. And one man says, I heard your advertisement about you didn't like those checkpoints. I like checkpoints. I said, well, that's your right. You can enjoy them all you like. You know, if you check with the police blotter, they usually will tell you where they are. He says, I think that they should be there because they catch people and they get drunks off the road. And I said, well, patrolling police cars get drunks off the road too. And I don't believe in taking away my right to go home because I'm not breaking any laws without somebody asking me for my papers. I said, to me, that just goes against every grain of my body, and I will continue to do so. And he's pretty adamant, bit peeved, I'd say, that, I said, and did you know, I said, a lot of that information can be gathered just simply by patrol cars rolling around, because on a lot of the cars, they have these, you'll see these little domes on the back of the hood and or on top of the car. And those license plate readers, they will, they scan your license plate as you go by in case you don't know it. And it'll come up on their computer screen. They'll say the owner of this car does not have a license or has a suspended license. Or there is no...
this car's been stolen.
Been stolen or whatever, yeah. So this is how technology catches them. So they know to call in reinforcements they think they're needed and stop the car and check it out. And your rights haven't been violated, because when you leave, you're going out to dinner and you want to go home, should you have to stop and present papers and blow in somebody's face to be questioned?
Did he mention drunk driving as the big issue there for him?
He mentioned drunk driving.
Yeah, so I'll bet you if you just simply had checkpoints outside of, you pick the 10 top alcohol-consuming restaurants and bars in the county, put officers out there and require everybody that walks out and gets in a car to blow in the breathalyzer, you'd get a lot more drunk drivers that way.
Yeah.
But I'll bet he'd be opposed to that.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not. Maybe he wouldn't.
I just, I want 100% of my civil liberties protected and not taken away because somebody else's lack of judgment. And there are other ways to combat drunk driving. Like I said, be out, have your cars out there patrolling. We got what we call titleitis at the sheriff's department to a great extent, where all these people with titles think they don't have to get on patrol. Well, we're going to change that up. Your title doesn't entitle you to sit down all day and let everybody else do the work while you have your specialty item. We're going to get rid of that. They'll still be able to do their specialty item. It's just that they're also going to share in some of what I call the pain. Not everybody gets to do the premium part of the job and never go serve a warrant. In other words, everybody's going to go serve warrants and be a part of the whole package. But we will retain talent. Like in investigations, you want the same people investigating, but you want new people being trained without losing the experience of those that do it on a daily basis. Things like that. But still, we just had to agree to disagree, and I told him, I said, well, that's what we'll have to do. Because I said, not everybody, I said, Pinehurst can continue to do it. I said, Pine Bluff can continue to do it. Where else we got? Taylortown, other places, Bass. All of them can continue to do it. Highway Patrol can continue to do it. I said, the Sheriff's Department just won't participate in it. Doesn't mean it's going away. And I said, but Southern Pines will not be doing it because Chief Timmy thinks in the same vein that I do, and that is he doesn't believe in stopping the citizens from going home. Now, I know when they been looking for a car, a particular car. They have set up roadblocks to funnel cars through so they can see if they can find the person they're looking for. But they don't sit there and do these random checkpoints.
Right. Yeah, if you you just pick out a few houses and start going in the houses, checking around, you're going to find all kinds of felonies, drugs, and all kinds of stuff there.
You ain't going to be able to go a city block without busting 3 people.
Right. So, I mean, you know, if your goal is to find criminals, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Rights be damned.
You have a pill that's not in the bottle.
Check his mattress.
Oh.
Check his mattress.
My good. You have some on the nightstand.
That label doesn't look like it's there.
Yeah. All right. Portions of this program are paid for by Adams for Sheriff. That's for those who question that. All right. 7:39 past the hour. Get ready for another Country Music Award Festival because there hasn't been one in about 5 hours now. It's time for the Summertime Country Concert Jamboree.
It's almost been an entire week since there was a country award show or country concert special. Well, the wait is over. Tonight, it's the Summertime Country Concert Jamboree, the SCC JMBs, featuring everyone who's been featured in all the other specials, plus Cade McAllister, premiering his brand new song, Country Things. Cowboy boots, pickup truck, long neck, beer, dirt road, new dog, old fence, farm tractor, front porch, Wrangler jeans. Girlfriend riding shotgun, gun rack, bar fight, drinking whiskey, dusty road, Nashville, cowboy hat, horseback. They're all country things. Country things. Don't miss the 23rd biggest night in country music, the Summertime Country Concert Jamboree. They're country things. Woo! The SCC JMBs. Tonight.
All right, Matt. It's time for you to have a chance to win $10,000.
Yes, I don't believe that for a moment.
With one correct guess.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to play a sound. All you have to do is tell me what it is.
Okay.
It's that simple. Here we go. 10 grand. Other than laughing, what is the sound?
Somebody is driving along hitting something.
Somebody driving along hitting something. No, there goes the 10 grand.
Oh, man, am I disappointed. I was all geared up for that.
It's a Segway that... Oh, I'm going to hit that button again. It's a Segway that's been tipped over while it was powered on and starting spinning around in circles. Everybody's heard that sound.
Is he on it?
Now they're trying to lasso it to get it. It's hard to beat those gyroscopes. They just keep going away from you.
He's having a good time, though. He's got an infectious laugh.
Now, shocking news. A guy in Washington got trapped under his tractor trailer a couple of months ago in a wilderness and had to rip his own leg off to avoid dying.
No, are you kidding?
I'm not kidding. He was lying down on the road of timber, and the truck started sliding, and one of the wheels pinned his leg. Apparently, the tire broke all the bones in his lower leg immediately. So he had a split-second decision to tear himself away from the truck before the truck dragged him and the rest of him underneath. Then he called 911 and told his coworkers how to apply a tourniquet.
And it was a split-second decision. It was either I get pulled into this and lose my life, or I rip a limb off. I was standing right here, and the truck started to slide, and I went under here because if I'd have come out this way, it would have took both my legs off. I basically felt or heard the bones in my leg break. They were all freaked out. I said, "Calm down, guys. Get me a tourniquet before I bleed out." I told him what I wanted: Medic 96, Medic 93, and a helicopter. And he goes, "Wow." Told dispatch, they go, "Is the patient alert and oriented?" I go, "You're talking to him?" I told anybody that comes here, it's all positive. There's no negative here. I'm here today to talk about it.
Now, That is a man with a positive outlook.
What choice you got?
And he's right. He needed a tourniquet.
Quickly. Also, Omarosa's book comes out today. And she's making rounds on TV, particularly the liberal outlets. And even some of the liberal outlets pushing back on some of her claims and what she said. And let's look at the facts. A, she hitched herself up the Donald wagon back on The Apprentice days. Was on there 3 times, got fired 3 times. Why? For backstabbing, underhanded stuff, and everything else. Well, that carried over into the White House. And she, according to John Kelly, committed several breaches of integrity, of the integrity rules that they have in place. One of them was she recorded the firing of herself in the Situation Room with a recording device which wasn't allowed in the Situation Room. So that's her little, and she was constantly weaseling her way into the president's face instead of doing what she was hired to do. And they just got tired of her and got rid of her.
Yeah, I have to wonder how many other things she recorded besides just that, if she was recording in there.
Well, she recorded the firing, and she says she was threatened. Now, here's the recording. Stop me when he gets to the threatening part.
I think it's important to understand that if we make this a friendly departure, we can all be, you can look at your time here in the White House as a year of service to the nation, and then you can go on without any type of difficulty in the future relative to your reputation.
Can I ask you a couple of questions? Is the president aware of what's going on?
Let's not go down the road. This is a non-negotiable discussion.
I don't want to negotiate. I've never had a chance to talk to you, General Kelly.
Yeah,
so if this is my departure, I'd like to have at least an opportunity to understand.
We can talk another time. This has to do with some pretty serious integrity violations. So I'll let it go with that. So the staff and everyone on the staff works for me, not the president.
So basically he was telling her, you can leave here and save face. Everybody can save face. You don't have to, your reputation won't be damaged. It's just a parting of the ways. But now she had to make it all personal. And then, of course, in order to sell books, she has to go sensational. And she talks about how she was at a person's house and heard a tape where Donald used the N-word. And now she's convinced beyond a doubt that he's a racist. Well, she could have gotten that if she'd been listening to MSNBC for the last, 2 years of brainwashing that's been going on. As they have one table after another. It's just around-the-clock tables of 5, sitting there, and they go around in a circle. Your turn to hate. Your turn to hate. And now it's your turn to hate. Donald Trump. And you listen to that garbage long enough, eventually you start getting acclimated to it. You start believing it. What's the old saying? You say it enough and people start to believe it, right?
That's what Goebbels said.
Here she was on Meet the Press yesterday talking about the N-word.
I had an opportunity to go out in Los Angeles and sit down with the person who actually has a copy of the tape. And I heard his voice as clear as you and I are sitting here.
You have heard the tape?
I have heard.
Okay. First of all, key thing there. She sat down with a person who has a copy of the tape. So nobody has, where's the original? I don't know. So we don't know whether this tape is doctored or whatever. But
since publication of this book?
Absolutely.
So you know it exists?
And I know it exists. And what I regret is that these people are probably trying to leverage it as this October surprise. I don't want to be a part of that. But I have heard for 2 years.
Oh, yeah. She don't want to be a part of an October surprise, but she carries a recording into the Situation Room to record her dismissal.
Well, this is not October, Steve.
Years that it existed, and once I heard it for myself, it was confirmed what I feared the most, that Donald Trump is a con and has been masquerading as someone who is actually open to engaging with diverse communities. But when he talks that way, the way he did on this tape, it confirmed that he is truly a racist.
Says Omarosa. All right. well, she's had her 15 minutes of fame. Enough of her. Meanwhile, yesterday at the PGA tournament, championship tournament, Brooks Koepka won it. Played solid all the way through. Had a few brief moments of difficulty, but came through when he had to come through. In fact, Tiger at one time was tied with him for the lead, but then Brooks got a couple of birdies that ended that from happening. Tiger did end up second in the tournament, but Brooks kind of took all the steam out of it for the networks and everybody else because he was at the 18th and he putted and the putt came up a little short. And ordinarily the champion would mark his ball and let the other guy play out. So when he taps it in, he can take his hat off and thank the crowd. He'll, oh, wow, I won this tournament and the pressure's off now and I can relax and so forth and so on. But instead, he just walked up and tapped it in like, oh, now the hole's done. And it just took the steam right out of the what am I trying to say, of the crowd and of the announcers. They didn't know what to do. They were trying to say, no, don't knock it in, it's not good TV if you do that. Here's the moment.
Don't finish it out yet.
No.
Hold on.
No.
He asked Adam. Well, Koepka captures the PGA Championship.
That's a why. A little early. It's decided he's been on his feet long enough today. I kind of like it, though, when the stage is cleared out from that. We would have thought someone can enjoy the fans' adulation for a good couple of minutes.
For a tournament, it was so riveting all the way through. It's kind of a ho-hum scene here until now.
But it's very much like ho-hum.
Yeah, I believe he was playing with Justin Thomas, and Thomas goes over there and then taps his short putt in, and everybody walks off the green, shakes each other's hands, as they always do at the end of a round, and walk to the scorer's table. No, wife running onto the green and that. She got him later off the side of the green, but it just was a ho-hum moment for a major championship.
I didn't realize there was a whole, I never thought about it, but it makes sense, but there's a whole set of kind of drama that you're supposed to go through there as part of the show, so.
I mean, Tiger sunk a long putt on the 18th to put himself in a chance to win this thing, and
it's to pull even with Scott for second.
And the crowd goes nuts.
What else would you expect?
Shot of 64.
That is 64 for Tiger.
So he played a good round and kept himself in the game this time. And
what Koepka have? I thought he had a 66. Must have been a 63 if he won.
No, not necessarily. It's a combination of 4 days of scores.
Oh, okay.
He was, I think he had close to an even round. Yeah, he's either even or 1 under for the day, which would have been a 69 or 70. But he had enough of a lead going into the final day. He had strokes to give. Anyway, I may be wrong on that. I didn't watch the whole tournament. I just know I wasn't watching football, where the spoiled little brats, from Thursday to now, through Sunday, taking their little precious knees and thus killing any chance I'll spend watching them this season. And when it comes to pro football, I don't care.
Yeah, I've heard a number of people say that.
Just turn them off. Just turn them off. I know all these people that live and breathe this fantasy football crap. Well, maybe I'll do it with college instead of the pros. And do it that way. But no, well, college can't be... Yeah, you can do it that way. I've never played fantasy football and understand the gist of how it works and everything, and I would think you'd be able to do it the same way as you do with college as you do pros. But regardless, We'll see how it goes. But as long as they're going to take a knee, I'm not cutting it on. And they continue to do so. And like John said in the Zoom zone this morning, they do it without pain. They come out there and spoil it for everybody, and there's no pain. Well,
yes, they do.
When you cut it off, maybe enough people cut it off, and they just don't watch, don't attend, don't buy the tickets, whatever. Perhaps they'll feel the pain.
Not to mention the fact that it's an asinine, non-existent cause.
All right, well, let's play a little game with Matt this morning.
And now it's time for Yes!
Yes! Yes! Yes! Yes!
Or BS.
Don't give me back good blues.
All right, time for a little yes or BS, where we're going to give Matt a statement. He's simply going to say, why, yes, Steve, it's true, or no, it's total BS. It's International Left-Handers Day.
Yes.
So the topic is famous lefties.
I got one right off the bat.
Oprah is left-handed.
BS.
Yes, she is. Women are slightly less likely to be left-handed than men, but Oprah is the lefty. All four of the Beatles were left-handed.
BS.
That is BS. John and George were both righties. Paul and Ringo were lefties. But Ringo writes and plays drums right-handed.
Paul and Ringo still are.
President Trump is right-handed but plays golf left-handed.
Yes.
Now you're thinking Phil Mickelson.
Oh.
He's actually a right-hander, but he plays golf left-handed. Let's see. Trump is righty with golf, too. 7 of his last 15 presidents have been left-handed, including Obama, Clinton, George H.W. Bush, and Ronald Reagan as well. But Reagan wrote with his right hand because he was forced to learn as a kid.
Yes.
Kermit the Frog is left-handed.
Kermit the Frog is left-handed. No, BS.
Yes, he is. Jim Henson was a lefty. He used his right hand to move Kermit's mouth, and his left hand worked Kermit's left arm.
Well, how does that make him left-handed?
The guy who took over when he died was Steve Whitmire, who's right-handed, but he played Kermit as a lefty, too. Now Matt Vogel plays him as a lefty, and Matt also happens to be left-handed.
Whatever. How do you have a puppet left-handed? That's crap, Steve.
And lastly, Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg are left-handed, and so was Steve Jobs.
No, BS.
Yes, they were. Some people say it's more proof left-handed people tend to be more creative. Bonus fact, about 25% of Major League Baseball players are lefties, and some people say the game is kind of rigged for them, even though they only play about half of the positions. Lefties never play second, third, shortstop, or catcher because it takes too long to get in position to make the throw to first. It slows them down. So they have to play outfield. Okay. Then I guess if you're on first base, it doesn't matter.
So I got one wrong in that.
You got one right.
I got 2 because I said it's national left-handed. Whatever.
Let's not go into the Matt Zone today. Anything else in that? No, we did that. That's about it. All right, moving on. Things we need to know so we do not sound stupid today. They include Blade Runner actor Sean Young, wanted after officers say she was caught on camera stealing laptops and software from a store in New York City. A spokesperson for the New York Police Department told the Wrap this on Friday. And by the way, if you go to the Verizon store today, probably not open. If it is, it's going to be with heavy damage. They had a wreck there in front of it, and a Ford F-250 went through the window Not because he was mad with Verizon, just out where his car ended up.
No, he apparently thought it was a drive-through.
And took it out. I've been sometimes I wanted to drive through the corporate store. That's a privately owned store there. When Verizon kept interrupting my signal. But never would take it that far. But don't think it was a retaliation. It was just the way the traffic accident ended up. Let's see.
It's the way the old Mercedes.
We're out of time. Here comes your news, sports, and weather. 8 o'clock, we'll be back.
Well, after some low clouds and a few areas of fog to start the day, we'll have partly to mostly sunny skies as we go through the midday and afternoon hours. Can't rule out a couple of stray showers or gusty storms in the afternoon or early evening, especially toward the coastal plain. We'll look for highs around 84 to 89. Later tonight, fair to partly cloudy with lows in the mid-60s to low 70s. And there may be just a few isolated to widely scattered afternoon thunder showers Tuesday with highs 86 to 91. I'm Mike Moss in the Weather Center.
Broadcasting from the top of the North Carolina Sand Hills, 97.3 FM, 104.1 FM, and 990 AM WEEB, Southern Pines, Pinehurst, Aberdeen.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. A former presidential advisor, Omarosa Manigault Newman, is drawing fire for making secret recordings in a high-security area at the White House.
One of them, her firing by Chief of Staff John Kelly that was aired on NBC's Meet the Press, was reportedly made in the Situation Room. NBC's Today Show also aired a recording of a phone call with President Trump, reportedly made the day after the firing, in which he appears unaware she'd been fired. Critics denounced the recordings as a serious breach of ethics and security. Republican National Committee Chairwoman Rhoda McDonald tweeting, "Who in their right mind thinks it's appropriate to secretly record the White House Chief of Staff in the Situation Room?" Wally Hines, Washington.
The NTSB and the FBI will work on getting information from the flight data recorder recovered from the wreckage of a plane stolen Friday from the Seattle airport and later crashed on a small island off Tacoma. Parts of the cockpit voice recorder have also been salvaged. The pilot, a 29-year-old airport worker, died in the crash. Well, they have a deal. The leaders of North and South Korea will be sitting down for talks in Pyongyang before the end of next month, their third summit since April.
The two Koreas have developed their relationship since the new year, after Kim Jong-un promised to suspend nuclear missile tests. This rapprochement helped lead to a summit between Mr. Kim and Donald Trump in June, and an agreement to denuclearize the Korean peninsula. But there has yet to be a real breakthrough on that goal.
That's BBC's Laura Bicker in Seoul. Not very many of them, just a few dozen white nationalists turned out for a march near the White House over the weekend, while thousands of counter-protesters and police vastly outnumbered them. Thanks to somewhat cooler temperatures, California's massive holy fire now 41% contained. Stock futures mixed on Wall Street this morning. Dow futures down a couple of points, NASDAQ futures up 7 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
It's probably been about 10 years ago. I had quite a few credit cards. The interest on the cards was really high. I was making the minimum payments, but barely. And it was just getting to be too much, so I called Trinity.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976 to talk to a certified counselor.
They met with me, and they were able to get all of my credit cards in one lower payment.
Trinity will consolidate your accounts into one easy-to-manage monthly payment, put a stop to late fees and over-limit charges, reduce your interest, and possibly improve your credit score. You'll save thousands.
They did help me learn how to manage my money. Now, we have a house, and we're doing a lot better.
If your debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Holly, and I am debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
Turkey's central bank has taken action in hopes of stabilizing the country's economy, thrust into turmoil by current economic policies, along with a trade and diplomatic dispute with the U.S.
In its first statement since the dramatic collapse of the lira started, the central bank said it was ready to take all necessary measures to ensure financial stability, promising to provide banks with all the liquidity they need. But the statement did not give any promise of interest rate hikes, and that was what markets were hoping for. Finance Minister Berat Albayrak is expected to roll out an action plan later today in response to the currency crisis.
That's BBC's Helene Garrett in Istanbul. An oceanside boardwalk collapsed during a nighttime concert in northwest Spain, injuring 313 people, 5 of them seriously. Many young people were on the wooden boardwalk when it gave way around midnight on Sunday. News and analysis at townhall.com. A mercury spill at a U.S. Postal Service distribution center in North Texas, causing bigger delays than expected.
Operations at the Coppell Distribution Center were suspended, and employees last week were assigned to nearby facilities. The Postal Service says they're working hard to minimize service disruptions to customers in some Dallas-Fort Worth suburbs after mercury spilled from a mailed package. It was contained and there were no injuries, but delays in mail service were expected. Val Dior reporting.
A Kentucky doctor convicted of illegally prescribing opioids to patients who died of overdoses has been sentenced to 4 years and 2 months in prison. The Lexington Herald-Leader reports 69-year-old Roy Reynolds has also been ordered to pay $25,000 in fines. U.S. Attorney Russell Coleman says Reynolds became a drug dealer with a medical license. A jury convicted Reynolds of 15 counts of illegally prescribing controlled substances. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Bureaucrats. I can't help it. I just don't like them. Our government's loaded with people who do not understand that our money needs to be spent wisely, that we worked hard for that money. They seem to think the answer to everything is spend more money. Yep, it's easy when it's not their money. Hello, I'm John Zumwalt, and one of the main reasons I'm supporting Steve Adams for sheriff is because I'm glad to see a candidate who understands how to run a major corporation. You see, the sheriff's office has an annual budget of $20 million, and still they want more. Can anyone tell me the amount of money that is finally enough? Steve Adams can. Steve's pledging that not only will he not ask for more money, but that he'll save us millions, and he has a plan to do so. His plan is not a pie in the sky. Steve has run businesses with that kind of budget before. His ideas are easy to get to by going to his website. And if that isn't enough for you, feel free to call him at the radio station, or better yet, go by and see him. There will be highly trained deputies surrounding Steve, including the best chief deputy he can find. Law enforcement will be maximized by finally having the budget to implement so many of the things that are lacking now, like a crime lab, for example. I just don't believe that the answer is always give us a bigger budget, give us more money, because we need to hire more people or buy more equipment. Finally, a candidate who knows how much is enough and knows that we've reached it. Steve Adams for sheriff.
Find out about Steve's plan at adamsforsheriff.com. That's adamsforsheriff.com. Paid for by Adams for Sheriff.
If the menu is getting a little stale at your favorite restaurant, the Hickory Tavern has a fresh summer solution starting with our newest appetizer. Fried Florida grouper fingers, tender grouper fillets served up with chili lime crema and lemon, perfectly paired with a Hickory build-your-own salad. And now the Hickory has tender fall-off-the-bone baby back ribs. Summer means seafood, and the Hickory has you covered with shrimp, oysters, and crab legs. The Hickory Tavern. Come for the game, stay for the summer food.
Fields Plumbing and Heating has served Moore County since 1948. Actually, the founder, J. Ellis Fields, started in the business as a boy in 1907 with Pinehurst Inc., who provided plumbing and heating services to Pinehurst homes and local hotels. Today, Fields Plumbing and Heating continues to provide superior heating service, plumbing technology, and customer service at the best possible price. When you need help, call the company with the most experience. Fields Plumbing and Heating, 910-949-3232. 949-3232.
For over 55 years, we know more. From 1960 to the present, Aberdeen Exterminating has been Moore County's local pest control professional of choice. Termite control, household pests, yard treatments, flea and tick control, routine and on-demand treatments, mosquito control, termite protection with available damage warranty, crawl space protection, new home pre-treats, foundation inspections, and moisture barriers. Aberdeen Exterminating does it all and does it well. Prompt, courteous, dependable service at a fair price. That's what you want, but don't take our word for it. Just ask around. Aberdeen Exterminating, locally owned, servicing Moore County since 1960. Call us today for a free inspection and free estimate. 944-2474. That's 944-2474.
Serving more people, more places, 24/7. If your AC breaks down, we'll restore your indoor heaven. Installation or repair, one call, we'll be there. It's your family, don't delay. Comfort's just a call away. We're Comfort Services. Comfort Services.
You've heard the comment, save your energy. Well, Comfort Services can save your energy bill and make your home more comfortable. Specializing in installation, HVAC, and comprehensive air quality services. Locally owned since 2003, Comfort Services is nationally certified and a Carrier Energy Expert dealer with highly qualified technicians. Go to ComfortServicesInc.com or call 910-695-2665 on Highway 5 next to Habitat in Aberdeen. 910-695-2665.
Comfort's just a call away. Comfort Services.
MCN News. I'm Mike Rayleigh. An ex-White House aide says she secretly recorded conversations she'd had while working as a presidential advisor, including her firing by Chief of Staff John Kelly. Omarosa Manigault Newman aired part of that conversation yesterday on NBC's Meet the Press. The former Apprentice co-star also claimed to have recently heard a recording of then Apprentice host Donald Trump using a racial slur while on the set. CBS News correspondent Aaron Burnett.
The White House has not responded to the existence of this recording, with Manigault Newman saying she did it for her own protection. But unauthorized recording inside a secure location like the Situation Room is a potential violation of national security.
North Carolina's 5 living former governors are meeting to oppose 2 constitutional amendments on November ballots that would swing powers from the executive branch to the legislature. The health of North Carolina's citizens and economy could be impacted if rollbacks in fuel efficiency standards proposed by the Environmental Protection Agency. Brownie Newman is chair of the Buncombe County Commission and a longtime environmental advocate, and says there's a lot at stake in North Carolina.
The issue of air quality is also one of the most important environmental factors that influences public health in the region for senior citizens and kids who have asthma, and really for the general population.
In Afghanistan, local security forces are battling the Taliban in a key provincial capital.
Ghazni is a provincial capital just 75 miles south of Kabul. A U.S. military spokesman says it's in no threat of collapse, but he said sporadic clashes with the Taliban continue, and the U.S. launched 21 airstrikes over the weekend in support of Afghan security forces, 2 so far today. The Taliban surprised the Afghan security forces with a multi-pronged attack last week that was a major show of force.
And a woman was killed Sunday in a hit-and-run in Durham. You're listening to MCN News.
7,000 high school students drop out every school day. That's 1 every 26 seconds. So here's a 26-second message of encouragement.
Hi, I'm Stacy. Look, I've been there. It's tough. And I just want to say, if you find yourself feeling negative, use it as motivation. Let it be like the fuel in the fire to keep you going. Because the best is yet to come. Seriously, you're capable of great things. Things you probably haven't even dreamed of yet. So don't quit now. See you at graduation.
Do you have 26 seconds to convince a student to stay at their desk? Now you can share your message of support at boostup.org. We can keep students in school. Visit boostup.org and take the first step. Brought to you by the U.S. Army and the Ad Council.
According to EarthquakeTrack.com, a 2.4 magnitude quake hit the area near Blowing Rock yesterday. No one was injured, no damage reported. A new look at Google services on iPhones and Android devices has raised some key privacy questions.
You may have thought you've set your privacy settings to block Google from tracking your location, but an AP investigation has found that many Google services on smartphones store your location data without your consent. Maps and weather are among the apps that log your location on a timeline. Some 2 billion devices that run Google's Android operating software are affected, as well as hundreds of millions of worldwide iPhone users who use Google for navigation or searches. Vicki Barker, CBS News.
North Carolina continues to litigate the voting district lines drawn following the 2010 census. The League of Women Voters has studied recent legislation to prevent gerrymandering in 15 states for possible solutions, is now offering results to North Carolina lawmakers. Jennifer Bremer with the League says,
the legislature is very rarely eliminated from the process into a better process that's more open and that is based on using a commission.
Turkey's currency continues to fall. Reporter Celine Garrett has more.
There is high inflation in Turkey, over 15%. There is high unemployment here in Turkey, and there is a huge current account.
Mainly over the coastal plain counties. Highs will reach about 84 to 89. Later tonight, becoming fair to partly cloudy. Lows in the mid-60s to low 70s. Then sun and clouds mixed around the area for Tuesday. Perhaps a few isolated to widely scattered afternoon thunder showers. Highs 86 to 91. I'm Mike Moss in the Weather Center.
Right now here in the Sand Hills, mostly cloudy, 69 degrees. Humidity 100%, dew point 69. Pressure 3006, winds east-southeast at 3, visibility up to 10 statute miles. It's 8:15. Let's take a quick look at your Sand Hills news for this Monday morning. A 14-year-old boy is dead after a shooting Friday afternoon in Robbins. Officials say Justin Lewis Manus was shot twice near his home on Hussey Road. The teen was unconscious when first responders arrived. Manus was taken by Carolina Air helicopter to First Health Moore Regional. In a statement issued around 8 p.m., the Moore County Sheriff's Office announced Manus had died at the hospital. According to the Sheriff's Office, 2 juveniles were questioned in connection with the shooting. The young witnesses, whose names have not been released by authorities, were both at the scene when Manus was shot. In an interview on Saturday, Sheriff Godfrey said that the shooting appeared to be accidental. The weapon belonged to the victim's father and had been secured in an outbuilding inside a gun safe. Meanwhile, 2 vehicle collisions seriously injured 1 person in a passenger car while sending a pickup off the highway and through the front of a local business Saturday. Emergency responders dispatched just before 9 to a reported vehicle accident on US 15501 in the area of the Cookout. The first arriving fire units reported a passenger car with heavy damage and a truck that had been driven all the way into the Verizon retail store. The adult male driver of the Ford Focus passenger car was transported by scene to First Health Hospital in Pinehurst. 1 person from the Ford F-250 truck was also sent to the hospital. There was extensive damage to the front of the Verizon building and inside the store. And an adult male body was found floating in a small pond outside of Carthage Sunday afternoon. Emergency responders were dispatched shortly after 3:30 to a small pond located some distance off the roadway in the 1300 block of Union Church Road after a person reported finding a body in a pond. The first arriving officials from the Carthage Fire Department confirmed that there was a victim in the water and called for additional resources from both Carthage Fire and Rescue, as well as specialized boats and water rescue equipment from Cypress Point Fire and Rescue in Bass. The fully clothed male victim was recovered from the water by officials without incident. The victim had been in the water for an undetermined amount of time, and they were still working on the victim's identification as of the report. That's your latest Sand Hills news this morning, but stand by. Here comes your latest in sports right here on Talk 97.3 FM, 104.1 FM, and 990 AM WEEB. It's 8:18.
NCN Sports. I'm Josh Zach. Brooks Koepka won his first PGA championship while playing mistake-free golf down the stretch amid ear-splitting roars from fans of Tiger Woods and a late charge from the revitalized Adam Scott. The U.S. Open champion closed with a 4 under 66 to reach 16 under for the four-day tournament. 3 shots clear of Scott and 2 ahead of Tiger, whose Sunday charge electrified the packed grounds of Bellerive Country Club as if it were 2 decades ago. Woods capped a 6 under 64 with a long birdie putt at the 18th. He pumped his fist as if he won. Woods says he could never have overtaken Koepka for the lead, however.
Pretty ticked at the British Open. I had the lead there. This one, I never quite got to the lead.
For Koepka, he enjoyed playing in front of the St. Louis fans.
I've never seen that many people in the golf tournament. It's a big sports town. To see all these people come out and support the golf tournament, I love it. I wish it was like that every week.
With the win, Koepka became the 5th player to win the U.S. Open and PGA in the same year. Who else did that? Well, Tiger Woods, as well as Jack Nicklaus, Ben Hogan, and Gene Sarazen. Kevin Harvick won at Michigan International on Sunday, giving him a NASCAR-high 7 victories for the season. His number 4 Ford finished 3+ seconds ahead of Brad Keselowski's number 2. NC State's returning 3 receivers give the Wolfpack a set of big hands capable of making contested catches. The Pack holding its media chit-chat Sunday. Coach Dave Doran said the team was determined early that it needed more size at wideout.
We did a study of every position group in the ACC and just what the average height and weights across the board were, and found that we were definitely shorter than we wanted to be in the receiver room. And so, like we've talked about a lot of our recruiting, we really put a premium on length, and at that position, length and speed, change of direction, explosion. And Coach McDonald has done a great job not only recruiting that type of player, but developing those guys with the skill sets needed and teaching them how to be tough.
This is NCN Sports.
This Fraud Watch Alert is brought to you by AARP North Carolina. Recently, sham veterans charities are bilking patriotic donors out of millions of dollars. North Carolina fraud fighters urge you to donate wisely. Before you give, visit ncsos.gov to make sure a charity that claims to support veterans and military families is licensed and legitimate. Learn more about charity scams and other cons by signing up for free AARP Watchdog Alerts at aarp.org/NC Protect.
Will Democrats break Republican supermajorities in the North Carolina General Assembly? Will this year's election change the course of the state Supreme Court? What about all those constitutional amendments on the ballot? Carolina Journal will help you answer those questions. Available each month as a free newspaper, every day online at carolinajournal.com. Carolina Journal, your #1 source for government news that affects you. Visit carolinajournal.com today.
Some numbskull tried pulling a Willie Mays Hayes, a la Major League, by wearing a uniform and sneaking into a training camp practice, wearing number 43 and looking nothing like Troy Polamalu. This daring Steelers fan showed up at Saturday's Pittsburgh training camp and managed to get onto the field. Several players noticed Polamalu's number 43 was being worn, and he hadn't played for the Steelers or anyone else in 3 years. The man apparently wanted to cover Antonio Brown, which is a little impressive, but mostly hilarious, especially to Brown.
That boy say he embarrassing himself now. He wanna check me. Let him check me real quick.
The Pittsburgh Gazette wrote that it's not known how the fan made it past security, but real Steelers players quickly noticed he was an imposter wearing Polamalu's 43, which the Steelers haven't issued since he retired after the 2014 season. Josh Zach, NCN Sports.
From the WEEB Community Calendar.
My name is Bill Lozer, president of the Moore County Shrine Club, and thanks to the courtesy of radio stations WEEB 990 AM, 97.3 FM, and 104.1 FM, the Moore County Shrine Club will conduct our annual fish fry after a 2-year renovation of our trailer. We are located on Highway 15501 at Roman Eagle Masonic Lodge in Aberdeen near Bernie's. The Shriner Fish Fry will be conducted on September the 7th between the hours of 10:30 a.m. and 7 p.m. rain or shine. Fish fry tickets will be available from any Shriner for $8 per ticket, and you may dine in or carry out. You may buy tickets from any Shriner and also available from these fine ambassadors: Heavenly Pines Jewelry on Dowd Circle near Pinehurst Post Office, Johnny O's on Highway 1 in Aberdeen, Karma Beauty Bar on Turner Street in Southern Pines, Honeycut Jewelers on Northwest Broad Street in Southern Pines. Again, my name is Bill Lozer, and if you have questions, please call me 759-0571. Please remember the date, Friday, September the 7th. Please come join us. Thank you for your continued support.
Tired of Republicans and Democrats combined? How about some free thinking anchored in the Constitution and the Declaration? Hi, this is Dave Zanotti from the Public Square. You can join in that kind of thought every day at thepublicsquare.com, and you can listen in every week as we look for real answers to real questions. Listen in Saturday at 9 a.m. and Sunday at 3 p.m. right here on Talk 97.3 FM and 990 AM WEEB.
You already know about Little Dino's great subs, but did you know they make some of the very best pizza as well? But if subs are your preference, then you won't find more choices anywhere else. That's why Little Dino's motto is, more choices, more flavor. And it's true. At Little Dino's, you'll always eat fresh. But unlike some national chains, their staff isn't fresh. So get off the chain gang and come into Little Dino's for more choices, more flavor, and friendly service. Little Dino's, located in Olmsted Village Shopping Center off 211 in Pinehurst.
John Cole's Plumbing Professionals want you to know that if your water bill is higher than usual, don't panic. We tend to use more water during the hotter months while watering the lawn and garden, taking more showers, and doing more laundry. This is not to say you don't have a leak, but if that's your suspicion, don't hesitate to make a call. But don't just call a plumber, call a professional. John Cole's Plumbing Professionals, 910-639-4933. 639-4933.
Hello, I'm John Zumwalt, and you're in the Zumwalt Zone. The NFL taking a knee to protest seems a little trite to me. I can't help it. I keep picturing Marines getting slaughtered at Iwo Jima, Air Force pilots who spent years being tortured in POW camps, Navy folks screaming as their ship goes down in flames, Army soldiers fighting for one more foot up a hill, bodies every step of the way, Coast Guard personnel diving into hell waters, perfectly understanding they may be trading their lives for someone else's life. Somehow, there's a myth that's been allowed to exist that only the rich or only the poor have a right to love this amazing nation. Men and women and white and black and, well, you get the point. They've all died. They stood side by side. They died for each other as well as for us, and they did so knowing the risk. That is the amazing part. That song, the national anthem, is more than a song. It's a representation of all the sacrifice Americans have been willing to suffer all these years. It binds us all together. It's the one time we could join hands and celebrate and say, I truly love America, and I love all of you, and I thank all of you for making this country great. And then some rich ball players come along, and for a minute or two they kneeled during the anthem, and they tore all that apart. Your little sacrifice. It ain't much of a sacrifice, not when you go home to your millions of dollars. I understand if you want to make a statement, but it should hurt a little. Ours did and still does in the Zumwalt Zone.
Well, after some low clouds and a few areas of fog to start the day, we'll have partly to mostly sunny skies as we go through the midday and afternoon hours. Can't rule out a couple of stray showers or gusty storms in the afternoon or early evening, especially toward the coastal plain. We'll look for highs around 84 to 89. Later tonight, fair to partly cloudy with lows in the mid-60s to low 70s. And there may be just a few isolated to widely scattered afternoon thunder showers Tuesday with highs 86 to 91. I'm Mike Moss in the Weather Center.
And now, the Sandhills' #1 morning show. Mornings with the Leader Man. Here on Talk 97.3 FM, 104.1 FM, and 990 AM WEEB. And heard and seen around the world at talk973.com.
The best part of waking up is waking up with us.
All right, everybody, listen up.
Wake up, people!
What day is it? You know what day it is?
Did you forget what day it is?
Of course not.
It's Monday.
Monday.
Monday. Monday.
Let's have a great day, everybody.
This is my favorite show. You like it?
Yeah.
It's like my new favorite show.
You really like them, huh? Yeah.
This show gets better every year.
It gets better every time.
Wait, what time is it?
It's showtime.
Sing a song. It'll make you dance. Yeah, yeah. You will have to shout out. Sing a song. It'll make you wear. Sometimes it's hard to care. Sing a song. It'll make you dance. It's not so hard to bear. Sing a song. It'll make you wear. Sing a song.
morning. Talk 97.3 FM, 104.1 FM, and 990 AM WEEB. Welcome back to the most listened to program in all of the Sand Hills. It is time once again for Mornings with the Leader Man. I am Steve Leader Adams, and don't forget, of course, we are being seen around the world on our live video stream. That's available to you at talk973.com. Top middle of the page is the link. One click of that, you're on your way to watching. If you're on your mobile device, your YouTube app will get you to that destination. Just put Mornings with the Leader Man into the search parameters, and Leader Man all spelled with one word, and that'll get you there. If you're on your mobile device just needing audio, we suggest that TuneIn or iTunes platforms. Other platforms will work too. Just put WEEB in the search. And as always, you can get our crystal clear digital audio stream at our website at talk973.com. Top right-hand corner of every page, the icon says Listen Live. Tap that once, you're listening that quick. Partly cloudy today, isolated thunderstorms, 90 for a high. Tonight, still the thunderstorms, a low of 70. Tomorrow, ditto of today with a high of 90. These are small chances of thunderstorms, like 20%, so don't look for too many of them. Then for Wednesday, no mention of rain, just sunny and 92. Our dew points through Wednesday will be down a little bit in the afternoon, making things a little more tolerable outside. Right now around the Sand Hills, winds are east-southeast at 3, visibility 10 statute miles, pressure's 3006, dew point 69, humidity maxed at 100%. It's mostly cloudy, 69 degrees currently here at Talk 97.3 FM, 104.1 FM, and 990 AM WEEB. All righty, it is 8:30, 30 past the hour on this Monday, and in the studio with us this morning, we have John Zumwalt and Nick Percerno. Nick, of course, just recently got appointed to the North Carolina, what is it, Nick?
Lottery Commission.
Lottery Commission. Just forgot what the official name would be. But anyway, I guess I just want to know, how much does it pay? Can I get a job?
You'll be surprised. We make $15 a meeting.
Really?
Yeah, we meet 4 times a year, mandatory, and 1 time a year for budget.
Wow.
So 5 meetings.
All right, well, I'm in then. Now, it's a thankless job, I'm sure. Nick, of course, has been outspoken about the lottery and the benefits that is passed on to the taxpayer and the original purpose of the lottery, so forth and so on. Anyway, we'll let John dig all that out as we say good morning to John Zumwalt.
Hey, Steve. How you doing, Nick?
Good morning.
Before we start talking about the Lottery Commission, there were 2 comments on Facebook that I promised I would ask you about. So I'm going to read them verbatim, and I'll just ask you to comment. The first one says, Percerno wasn't exactly pro-education during his time on the Moore County Board of Commissioners. He was happy to keep kicking the can down the road in order not to have to raise taxes. What do you think?
Well, you have to go back and look at the record. During my 8 years, we actually built 2 schools, West Pine Elementary, Cranes Creek Middle were constructed and were occupied in my first term. The second term, we started accumulating money. We set aside money. One of the things we put in place was capital reserve fund for the specific need of building future schools. I think she's misguided in her accusation that we kicked the can down the road. The commissioners cannot initiate the building of a school. That is the job of the Moore County Board of Education. During my tenure, after those 2 schools were built, we were never asked to fund another construction of another school. So we're putting the money aside. I can't go build a school. It's not my job to determine where the needs are and where we should go build a school and how much. It's the job of the Board of Education to make their case, get the plans in place, and build the schools. But you show me, and she can find one public meeting where the Board of Education came to the Board of Commissioners and said, we need you to build Aberdeen Middle right now. I don't recall. So maybe I was asleep at the wheel, but I don't think I was ever asked to build a school as a commissioner.
Well, since some people need it a little more plainly, and I'm one of those people. You never were asked to build another school.
No, there was never a proposal submitted to the Board of Education to fund an additional school while I was a commissioner once Cranes Creek and West Pine Elementary and those two schools were completed.
Let me read the second one. Referring to your appointment to the board of the lottery board, quote, is this appointment an attempt by Bowles, that's Representative Jamie Bowles, to give Paserno a plum political appointment to soothe bad feelings over the 2016 primary and get Nick's supporters back in the Bowles corner for the general this year? And that refers to the when you supported me.
Well, that's a good question. I guess it's probably more needs to be aimed at Jamie as why he did it. I was sort of shocked when Jamie called and asked me would I be interested. I like to help. I like numbers. Lottery certainly deals with numbers. But basically the Lottery Commission is basically an oversight of running the North Carolina Lottery. It's not really political. I don't know how that's a political appointment other than a politician made the appointment.
Well, there is the $15 a meeting.
Yeah, there is that.
Okay, let's get down to the things people want to hear, and I believe in some ways you're the only person that can tell them because of your new appointment, and also because you have an amazing head for figures, and you can keep these things in your head, and I can't. All right, Nick, you're on the board. First question, any surprises?
Oh, the Lottery Commission?
Yes.
Well, I have not had my first official meeting. I did not attend that until September the 11th. I did have my orientation last week. I got to meet Commissioner Tony Rand, who will be the new chairman of the Lottery Commission, and Courtney Crowder, who was the existing. And I got to meet the director and a lot of the department heads. And no, there was really nothing surprising. I mean, it's a business.
When you met your fellow members and the commissioner, were there any of their views that surprised you that you were expecting anything differently, or just business as usual?
Well, you got to remember what the mandate of the commission is to run the operation of, or oversee the operation of the lottery. It's not to make political statements as the money needs to be spent here and you need to send that money to there. And what we do is give you accurate facts as where does the money go. I can tell you to almost to a penny where the money that's generated by the lottery, the net proceeds, where that money went.
Okay, I think there are a lot of people who would love to have that information. Can you tell us more about that?
I sure can. The Pilot had an editorial last week and where they were harping on that 40%. Everybody gets hung up on 40%, thinking that's the total.
Let me stop you. Even for people who may be listening who don't even know what that 40% means, could you explain that just a little bit?
Yeah, the 40%, there was when the lottery was passed by the voters back, and I'm pretty sure it was 2005, in that area. The commission set up a formula as to how the proceeds would be allocated for education. 100% of all monies, net proceeds that the lottery generates, that's the money, it's like a business, the net profit. After you pay your expenses, your prizes, and advertise, all that good stuff. How much money is left over that could actually go to education? 100% of that money is spent on education. What the misnomer is, originally 40% of that total proceed was supposed to go to capital school construction. Well, if you look at 2017, the lottery generated $591 million to go to education. That was the net proceeds. Well, if you took 40% of that, that's around $216 million should have went to school construction. But back when the state was struggling in the the 2008, 9, 10 area, when the country was facing some difficult times because of all the financial crisis and so forth and so on, those formulas started getting messed with, because they needed money to supplement general funds and other things. So what's actually happened is, at this point in the game, the General Assembly has fixed the amount that is spent on educational construction, school construction, at $100 million. Well, 100 million of 591 million comes out to about 17%. So for school construction, we were shorted 116 million that would have been allocated to 100 counties. It's not a lot of money. The lottery will never build a school by itself. Never. I mean, unless we have a huge gambling.
Might build a gymnasium.
It might build something small, but I mean, even if you had the entire 40%, probably Moore County would have gotten, I think it got 800 some thousand. It may have got $2 million, and $2 million, but is not going to build a school.
Okay. Well, you and I both agree that there need to be some changes made in general overall funding of education. I've harped about the states taking money away from us for years in the form of a tier system and different things. And you've, with your inside knowledge and your much better ability to remember numbers, have talked about how we're not using our money wisely. One thing that I've reached this conclusion: no matter how you feel, if you dare question in our today's environment, if you dare question, no matter how pure your motives might be, if you dare question anything to do with schools, you are branded as a person who hates children. You don't want them to be comfortable. You hope that they don't reach high school, and you just can't question it. And have you found that to be true? And if you have, what's happened? Why can't we do that?
Well, let's go back and look at history. I was born and raised here. I went to Carthage Elementary School. I went to Union Pines High School. And then I went to University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. And then I came back home. I was educated as a school teacher. I taught in the school system. Granted, I only taught 1 year, but I was a science teacher. I just got fixated on these personal computers that came out in the late 70s and early 80s, and taught myself to program, and ended up creating a software company. But it's like the lady that pointed out that said we kicked the can down the road and so forth and so on. What happens is people's emotions overtake their facts. They just get emotionally charged that we're not doing enough. I mean, the kids are going to school in old buildings and run down and so forth and so on, and they need to be fixed. And granted, I think there are some capital construction needs in Moore County, and I said so. And we put money away. We even tried to get a bill that would have dedicated a sales tax increase for the sole purpose of school construction. But yet you have people that will say they kicked the can down the road when it wasn't even my responsibility to build the school in the first place. So people get misguided because their emotions overtake their ability to take facts and actually process facts to come to really good conclusions. And so what that ends up happening, for example, not a lot of people know this. When I was still a commissioner, we had several discussions with Dr. Grimacy and members of the school board about the high school that they wanted to build, the careers, the new. Well, we're already doing that. They're already sending kids to Sandhills. What we were talking about was building a new building so that we could house these kids, when Sandhills had room to house them already, and we're doing it. And so,
Dr. Dempsey said right in here and said that during the morning it's pretty crowded over there. He said, but in the afternoon you can roll the bowling ball down the halls and not hit anything.
Yeah, and
so there is room over there.
We love the idea. I want to create as smart. I want to give everybody the most education opportunity as they can get. I mean, the smarter we make people, the better decisions they will make, if they will try to check their emotions at the door. The worst decisions I've ever made when I was emotional and didn't really sit down and analyze the facts. But I mean, we went through and saw lots of money. I shake my head. I mean, I think about the Advanced Career Center. I mean, they went across the street knowing they were cockaded red woodpeckers over there, and they still spent $75,000 on the architectural plans to build a school in a place they knew that was probably not going to be able to do it.
Yep.
But it's okay. Nobody questions that. And that blows my mind. You thought $75,000. I know that's not a lot of money when you're talking about a $20 million school. Oh, wait a minute. They're $30 million now. When we built the other ones, they were 12 and 13 million. I mean, it's.
Well, I don't know. By the way, we're speaking with Nick Persona, who just got recently appointed to the North Carolina Lottery Commission. John's in the studio with us this morning to help get to the issues on that. John?
I've kind of got a new little mantra here, Nick. My question is this, and it's not a question to you, it's one I'm going to be asking a lot. How much is finally enough? And whether we're talking about schools, whether we're talking about the sheriff's department, how much is finally enough? I would like for someone to, once and for all, give me a figure. When are we going to be happy? Now, there are a lot of people out there listening who are cursing me right now, and probably cursing you, because we're anti-school all of a sudden. But when you talk about the price of school building rising, doubling in 1 year, I don't get it how that makes any sense. Now, one might say, well, you're not a builder, Zumwalt. You're not a businessman. No, I'm not. But I'd hate to think that I could build a house for $400,000, and next year it would cost me $800,000. So I don't know. We're not allowed to ask. How much is finally enough? And I would just like to get someone to answer that. Whose responsibility is it? When you said that the Advanced Career Center was shut down because of red cockaded woodpecker, and we spent $75,000, are you able to give a blame for that? I mean, even if it's very general, like, I mean, who are we talking about here? Who's doing all this?
God, I mean, it goes back to things that while I was a commissioner and trying to navigate through all these waters. You know, to me, history is the greatest teacher. And it always befuddles me that we don't look at history and learn from our mistakes, and we keep fumbling over the same mistake over and over and over again. And, you know, I don't want to call out anybody's names, and I won't do that. But there was a known fact that the school had hired someone that was in charge of looking at all this stuff that had come from another county, and my conversations with that other county and their commissioners told me that this individual, their projects were always overpriced, and they felt they were overpriced and over budgeted, and they were not sad to see that individual go, and he ends up here. And I asked our school board to check into that, and to my knowledge, one did but said nothing. The other one just ignored it. So I mean, I guess it's whoever hollers the loudest. I mean, in our county, you got the pilot who's going to promote what they feel is their agenda. I'm sorry, they will do that, and the facts sort of get left out in the cold. It doesn't matter. It's like the lady said, we kicked the can down the road. No, we didn't kick anything down the road. We actually were putting money aside to build a school, but we were never asked to build one. Yep.
Well, you know, I've spoken against the pilot here, and I agree with you, and I hope the pilot, someone's listening, and maybe you'll get the message to start looking into some of these things, and at the very least reporting them fairly. The Advanced Career Center, that's a good example, because when it first was mentioned and it came out, I was okay with it. I had no problem with it because I didn't know what I was talking about. But here's what I want to say. I trusted the school board. I trusted the superintendent. I trusted as a citizen that they knew what they were talking about. And it turns out they didn't. And I'll tell you why. It went from #1 priority. Now it's not even on the list. How can that happen? How can you take something that's #1 on the priority list, and now it's all of a sudden not even on the? We're not even going to do it. How does that make any sense?
Well, like I say, we're doing it already. You know, the kids have opportunity to go to Sand Hills. It was just that. And look, I actually agree with the concept. To have an advanced career center and be the first, digital learning, all that. I support that. I like that. But you got to implement it in such a way that it makes sense. You got a game plan. You see where you're trying to go with it. One thing I learned about programming a computer is you better know where you're going to try to get to before you ever start. If you don't know where you're going, when you start writing a piece of code, you're never going to get there. It just don't work that way. And I guess the Lord programmed me as an on-all person, and I need a game plan. I need to see the end. I don't like to start things that we don't have an ending to. Because then it perpetuates. And I think what's happened in our society is, a lot of people that are making the decisions, financially, it doesn't hurt them if the tax rate goes up 3 or 4 cents. But I worry about the people that are on fixed incomes, the people that are drawing a Social Security check, the people that live in various parts of our county that aren't rich and are poor, and they've lived here all their lives, and all of a sudden they're losing their homes or their cars and their autos because they can't pay the property tax because we need to build these things. Yeah, we do need to build them, and we got to fix them. But if you don't have a plan and you don't do it prudently and doing it smartly, then you're going to hurt people. And when I hear these people say 1 cent here and 2 cents doesn't matter, well, to some people 1, 2 cents matters because it's 2 cents times 100 times the value equals the dollars that they got to write out of their checkbook. And if you're living paycheck to paycheck and somebody takes more out of your check, then you got less to do what you think are your priorities. And last time I checked, we lived in the United States of America where we were supposed to have some freedom, and we weren't supposed to be dictated to. And people, it's almost like legalized robbing of people.
As a matter of fact, Nick, I'll go one step further. Yes, the poor have a hard time paying that, and I believe that with all my heart. But I'll go a step further. Even the people who have money, why should they just keep giving money and giving money and giving money?
John, let me interrupt you.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. There's a lot of people in our society just like to see their names on the building. And they'll do anything to get their name on the building, their name in the limelight. They'll say they do it for one reason, but they demonstrate by who they are and how they live is for another reason.
Well, I was going to say that Dr. Bob Grimacy, our superintendent, and Dr. Dempsey, the president of SCC, the community college, seem to have no regard for that money because it's our money. And I can't help but think, Nick, and this is what made me turn the corner. I got tired of seeing things like your example of $75,000 here, so much here, so much there. I want them to spend that money like it's their own money, because in fact, it's my money. And every single person here listening, it's bad enough that we get our money taken away from us through the tier system. And can you say a couple of words about the tier system? Are we ever going to fix that in Moore County, do you think?
No.
That's just kind of...
No, you're not going to fix it. I tell you, again, you've heard it over and over and over. History repeats itself. How many government programs, good or bad, ever go away?
None.
I mean, they just don't go away.
You can't fix it when the 3 people that represented us voted for it.
Yeah.
Well, and you go back to education, we were trying again to get rid of the tier system. That was one of the things we, rightfully so. I was not a fan of the tier system because, I'll say it again, poverty does not know a county boundary line. And the tier system is based on county boundary lines. So if you're we're considered rich, but in parts of our county, we're not rich.
Period. Again, we're talking with Nick Paserno, who just got appointed to the North Carolina Lottery Commission. And in the studio with us also is John Zumwalt. John?
Nick, the extended sales tax, not to be confused with the one that's going to be on the ballot, but the extended sales tax, according to Wayne Vess, our county manager, he's publicly stated that we pay about $1 million a year, the citizens of Moore County do, and that's taken out of Moore County. And that's just an example of the kind of money we're losing here. And that's why it's so frustrating, not just for you and for me, but it's frustrating to the people who are on the other end of the spectrum that believe we should spend a lot of money. It's frustrating for them too, and I get it. I'm, as you know, furious with our state officials, and I'm not going to ask you to speak out so much about that, but it does bring me to another question. What kind of advice do you give to people, would you give to our local elected officials? And I'm not going to call them local politicians. I'm going to call them local elected officials because I know almost all the county and the school board. But to them and also to the folks we send to Raleigh, because our Raleigh elected officials are doing a horrible, horrible job of getting anything done for Moore County. The best example I can think of is when we tried to get the verbiage on the ballot, and they couldn't even get that done. What kind of advice would you have as far as when do you compromise, when do you reach across the aisle, when do you threaten the House with the Senate and threaten the Senate with the House, things like that?
Well, it takes courage to lead, and everybody likes to be liked. I like to be liked. And when you put yourself out there in what you believe, you just have to live with the consequences. I just believe there's certain things that we could do more efficient. Look, I don't even have a problem with those that want to spend for schools, because I think we do need to fix some schools. There's definitely some school construction needs that our county has. I want our kids going, my grandkids go here. I want them to go to good facilities. I want teachers to be safe. I want teachers to have the opportunity to teach our kids. We're all for that. All we're asking is for things to be looked at from a point of view that when you do these things, somebody's going to have to pay the bill, and have that as part of the equation, not just go out and do all these things and without thinking that you're having to impact somebody's life to do these things. I mean, it's just that simple when you're in these public when you're elected. I mean, as far as Jamie and Alan and Jerry, I do want to thank Jamie and Alan for my appointment. I appreciate them having that confidence in me. I gave them a lot of grief as a commissioner because of the things I believed in. So I do publicly thank them. I will work really hard to make the lottery the best it can be, to generate as much revenue for the schools. But you just have to do what you believe and not go into public service if you really want to be liked. It just don't work.
Well, you use the word leadership, and I completely believe in that. I don't believe that any of those three are true leaders. I don't. And I would love to see some leadership from representing Moore County. Last thing I want to touch on is your commission can't spend money. Can you explain a little bit about again, I know you touched on it, but what are your duties from the Lottery Commission?
Well, we oversee, like we hire the administrator, the guy that will be running the day-to-day operation. It's quite a big operation. I mean, it's a big building on Capitol Boulevard. There's a lot of people involved. The people I met have been super nice, super committed. They run it very efficiently. From what I've seen and what the numbers I've looked at, I think they're doing a fantastic job, and I just want to be a part of making it even better and trying to raise even more money for educational purposes.
All right. For the folks who don't know Nick, and Nick and I have been friends for a lot of years, don't be fooled into thinking because of what he just said about how nice the folks were and how much he wants to thank Jamie, that for 1 second that anybody's going to buy or influence his the way he feels or speaks. Nick is his own man. I can promise you we couldn't have a better representative on that board. Nick, thank you. We've got about a minute left. Do you want to say anything?
No, I just, if I've got a job to do, I'll do the job as mandated by what I believe the job entails, and that is the overseeing operation of the lottery, and make sure we got a good general administration and we generate money for education.
All right, thank you, my friend, for coming in.
How long is the appointment?
5 years.
5 years.
I'll be a really old man when this over.
All those $15 you're going to get.
Yeah.
And by the way, if I have a suggestion for the board.
Okay.
As the time goes on, it takes more and more advertising to get people to look to spend the same level that they're spending. At least that's what other states have shown. Perhaps they ought to spend more or spend some on radio because TV is not doing it for them.
Well, let me say this to you, and you're going to find this ludicrous. they did point out in my orientation, there's actually a state statute that limits the way we can advertise.
Oh, really?
It almost says you can advertise to try to induce people to spend money on the lottery, which is, you know, you shake your head, and I understand it. They don't want to get people involved in gambling, but if that's what they
they
perceive
could
it.
sponsor something.
I understand.
Like high school football or something.
Yeah.
All right, so it goes for this Monday. Have yourself a great, safe day. We'll see you back bright and early tomorrow, 7 to 9, for a titillating Tuesday. Until then, be sure to support all the mom and pop businesses you're here on our airways, because they are the backbone of our economy here in Moore County. Money will stay here, roll over, and create jobs. And don't forget, millions of Americans have fought and died to give and protect the freedoms that you get to enjoy today. Live today worthy of their and their family sacrifice. I'm Steve Leader Adams, the Leader Man, and Nick the Colt the Dog. We'll all see you too this afternoon at the dog park.
And I'm Matt Horsey with a quote from James Cook. The idea that government can instruct private enterprise on how to eliminate waste is preposterous. No, that goes without saying. We will be back tomorrow at 7 right here on WEEB for Mornings with the Leader Man.
When I come back, you'd better be laughing.